As a super admin, you have the ability to bulk create applications for students. To do this, you'll need to go to the Students module and click on Import Students. Now you'll want to make sure that you are in the correct school year, so I'm going to be importing an application for 2021, so I'll just make sure that I'm in that school year. You'll also need to have your import file ready. Your import file will contain, at a minimum, the student ID, student first name, student last name, date of birth, grade that the student is applying to, the program ID, and I'll show you in a minute where you can find that. Submitted equals 1, which means that it's going to be a submitted application. Submitted timestamp, when that application was submitted. And application status. If you're going to be importing these applications to be all eligible, you'll want to make sure that that's a 1. If you want to review those applications after you import, you can always put that as a -1, which will come in as in processing. So I'll go back into the system and I'll go to where you can find your program ID. So I'll click on Settings, Schools and Programs tab, and click on Programs. For here, I'll be able to search for the specific school that I want to import applications for and make sure I'm using that ID on the first column that is shown. So right now I'm going to submit an application for Andrew Jackson, so I'm using a 36 as the program ID. So I'll go back into the Students module, and now I'll click on Import Students. So I will make sure that I select the file from my desktop. I'll also want to make sure that it is in a CSV format. And then I'll click Upload and Review. From here, I'll need to do a little field mapping. So for the student ID, I'll need to select student district ID. Student first name will be F name. Student last name will be L name. Date of birth is DOB, and you can change that to format as a date. The grade, and that's going to be grade. Program ID, you can search for program ID. If you just start typing it, it'll automatically go to that specific one. Submitted. Submitted timestamp. You'll also need to choose that as a date as well. And then application status, which I believe is just status. You also have the option of sending an email notification when creating new parent accounts. You'll need to make sure that you are including the parent first name, last name, and email address or phone number if you'd like to do that. Right now I'm just going to uncheck it and then click Analyze Report. This will show you'll see duplicate to resolve. That's just because the student's already in the system. If the student wasn't already in the system, then you would not see this area. It would just show as a new student. So I'm just going to make sure that everything matches up. I'm selecting that student. I also have the option to create a new one if that doesn't match up. And then I can click on Finish Import. So now I'm updating for that student, and I'll see that it's 1, and then I can go into the optional application and look for that student application to confirm that it was imported.